Hey everybody, it's Dr. Shawn Powers and it's Power Up Tuesday. Welcome. I hope you're having a fabulous day and you're out there just sharing your gifts and trying to change more lives with the services, the products, or the ideas that you have. What I wanted to come on today is, have you ever heard one of your assistants answer the phone and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have any room for you today," or "We are completely scheduled out for the next 3 days or 2 weeks," and you're back there in horror because you want to be a yes office, right? So capacity issues are something I wanted to talk about today, because as you are setting your goals for next year, you might want to pay attention to where you currently are in terms of your capacity. Is it something that's up, down, stuck? Do you feel like, I want more people, I want to change more lives? Or do you feel like, I don't know if I can do more? I don't know if my team or my layout can do more. So capacity can limit your growth, or it can exponentially allow you to grow as you increase your ability to have more capacity and serve more people. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Capacity, how to prevent issues with it, how to increase it if that's what your desire. But listen, without ever compromising quality of care or service. So if you're with me, give me a thumbs up. Or if you're like, I would like to increase, just put that in the comments. Increase, or I'm like stuck right now, right? So these are important things for you to consider. And so as we're looking at capacity, what does capacity really mean? It is either the number of services and or the number of people you can provide in your office at any given time, right? So we all know in chiropractic, we have prime time. We have most of us schedule out new practice member report time depending on our staffing. So this is what you have to look at. I just want to talk about 3 categories to increase your capacity. Number 1 is the human aspect. Yes, the human aspect. Do you want to be able to increase your capacity in terms of who you are as a human being? So first we need to address you, because as practice growth comes from above, down, inside out, you being the officer in charge of the growth of your business or your practice. If you're a CA listening, and you might also say, oh, so I need to check in with myself. So let's just talk about the human aspect of capacity. And what I mean by that is, like, what's your intention? Do you want to serve more people? Do you have a feel like you're stuck and you want to increase your capacity? Or maybe you're currently overwhelmed. And listen, it's not 24/7. It's not every day in the practice. It's not every day in or every hour of the practice. It might be, if you feel overwhelmed or at capacity at certain times, that is what we need to look at and analyze. So look at your intention and look at your mindset around capacity. Now, there's also a piece of the human aspect that you have to look at, is your style. What's your style of practice? What's your focus of practice? What's your technique in practice? Because that will affect capacity as well. So if you're a student listening, and I know a lot of you are out there preparing and planning to do some phenomenal things, these are things you start to look at now, right? Right? Any doctor listening will say, how you create a phenomenal practice is you plan and you prepare, you study. And the more you can do before you open your doors, the happier and the better it's going to be, right? So if you agree with that, just give me a thumbs up. The second thing about the human aspect of it is you have to look at your knowledge, skills, and abilities. Who I am as a doctor of chiropractic now versus when I first started, I have so much more. Hey, Nita, nice to have you on today. So we're talking about capacity. I have so much more ability to execute service and numbers of people than I did when I first started, right? So there's a knowledge, a skill, and an ability that we all want to consistently be working on. Who we are today is not the same person we hope to be tomorrow, right? A little bit better, a little bit more focused, a little bit more knowledgeable, a little bit more skillful. You also have to look at the motivation, right? Your motivation, your team motivation, especially as it relates to capacity. Now, I had a call the other day with a client, and they were feeling somewhat overwhelmed at certain hours of the day at capacity, right? And the motivation is like they are on fire to change lives, to increase the capacity that human beings in their community have through chiropractic. So they're like seriously motivated to figure out how to break through and increase their capacity. So motivation is really important. So just to recap, the human issues in terms of capacity are your motivation, your skill, your knowledge, your abilities, your intention, your mindset, and your personal style. You know, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Shawn Powers. I'm a business strategist, a speaker, coach, and author. I'm a former critical care nurse. So coming from critical care, I have like this ability to systematize, to, you know, just do a lot of things quickly with quality control, etc. And so you have to look at what your natural style is or what you've learned over time, and that will help you also address and prevent capacity issues. The second piece that we have to look at when we're talking about capacity issues is space, right? The physical layout of the practice, the tools that you have, the equipment that you have, the technology that you have. These can either inhibit your capacity or they can open it up for great things. And so I can remember early on in practice, I had a very small space. It literally, if two people were doing side posture at the same time, we would be bumping into each other, right? And so then I grew into a bigger space. And so over time, I adjusted at one time over 6 to 8 tables, and I decided I wanted to decrease my steps. So I went down to 4, and then 3, and then 2, and a child's table. So again, your physical space, your tools, your layout, your equipment, your technology can either increase your capacity or inhibit it. And you have to look at each piece of that. I had a client who recently tore down some walls and also changed out some tables to increase their capacity. So again, I want you to just be in that mindset that anything is possible as long as you make it so and you make that decision, right? The third area we have to talk about is the personal, right? Or the personnel, our associate doctors, our CAs, our other providers, if we have those in the practice. What is their mindset, their intention, their knowledge, their skills, their abilities? Do we have enough of them? And here's a real important thing about capacity. You know, like if you think about a restaurant might have enough plates, enough tables, enough of silverware, everything for their dinner time, for their lunchtime, for their peak time, not for those off hours. And so as you're thinking about increasing capacity, not only in your physical layout, your tools, your technology, your personnel, but to staff according to what you want to be able to see during your peak times. So how many, again, capacity being defined as the numbers of services or people we can serve in a given amount of time. And here's the key. You want to grow and scale your business. You want to increase your profit. But most importantly, you want to increase the world's health. You've got to do everything for those preferred times that people want to come in, usually before work and school, after work and school, and definitely not during the times that your office is empty and you're wishing there were people there. All right. Again, depends on your community. So you've got to look at how many doctors you need at a time. If there's more than one, you've got to look at how many CAs, and then legally in your state, your province, your country, you have to determine what can my CAs legally do. And if at all possible, you want them to do everything but adjust. And then whether or not you use other providers, the way to increase your service and have multiple streams of incomes is that you might have other people in your practice providing services outside of chiropractic. That's up to you philosophically, in alignment and congruent with who you are, what you do, what your intention is, what your mindset is, what your style, and what your focus is. So the last thing, the fourth thing I want to talk to you about capacity is management. And so it's people management, it's physical plant management, it's self-management, right? And so typically when I think about management in a practice to increase capacity or to feel comfortable at those peak hours is managing the flow. And flow can come in all sorts of different ways. You can look at how you schedule, who you schedule when, whether you schedule by the time or in blocks, whether you are somebody who does multiple appointment calendars, which I absolutely suggest, whether it's legal for you to do one-time investments, so each and every time somebody doesn't have to stop and schedule, stop and pay. So flow is a big part of increasing your capacity. Also, our clinical notes, right? And that comes back to our tools and our resources. The more we can simplify things, use technology, or use some of our support staff to help us minimize the time it takes notes. Because you're never going to save anybody's life by taking notes, but you will save their life by giving them an adjustment. So look at that piece in terms of your clinical notes. And then your CAs, the administrative tasks, right? Or your own personal administrative tasks. This is a very key piece of increasing your capacity, growing and being able to scale your practice and have more profit. So your clerical administrative time is really important. You know me. I love systems and I love policies. Or maybe you don't know me. I'm Dr. Shawn Powers. I'm a business coach, a strategist, a speaker, and an author. And I know that systems are the things that help our businesses thrive. It eases stress for everybody involved, and it will allow you to be more profitable. So your systems and your policies are something you need to review in the ability to increase your capacity or decrease your overwhelm during the times you feel that you are at peak capacity. And finally, in the whole management of thing is look at your support. Who's supporting you? How are you being supported? I can remember I love plants. My office was full of plants. And at one time my CAs came to me and they said, do you know how much time we spend during our admin time taking care of the plants? And I was like, I didn't even think about that. I immediately hired a plant company because I didn't want to get rid of the plants. I love the plants, but I wanted them to be able to have time and energy to do something that was more important. Right? So sometimes we need things in our practice or we desire things in our practice, but they don't necessarily have to be supported or completed or done by our CAs or our associates, right? So look at what other support, what other resources, and what other outsourcing is available to you. So again, I'm Dr. Shawn Powers. I want to help you serve more people, change more lives while you live a life that's aligned with your dreams, that you're wildly successful, you make the profit that you need to give your family a life beyond their wildest dreams. So here's the deal. Capacity issues can be prevented. And if you're having capacity issues right now, you just need to look at these categories. You need to look at the human aspect, the intention, knowledge, skills, motivation, focus, and the style of the human part of your life in your practice. Second thing you need to look at is your space, your physical layout, your equipment, your technology. What do you need to update? What do you need to get rid of? Maybe what do you need to add in? And then the personnel piece of it. Do you have the right CAs in the right position? Do you have enough of them? Are you legally able to delegate to them everything but adjusting? Do you have associates if you need them? Do you have other providers if that's something you want to increase your sources of income without you having to be there? And finally, to increase your capacity or prevent overwhelm when you feel like your capacity so you can grow more, serve more, and change more lives is management. Managing your flow, managing your notes, managing your admin tasks, your systems and your policies, making sure they're effective and productive to do what you need to do, and then to look at who you need to help you be support, resources, and outsources to make the practice be just beautifully serving without stress and with great profit. And so that the people in your community can have healthier brains, healthier nerve systems, healthier organs, and better lives. So I'm Dr. Shawn Powers. It's been fun to be with you here on Power Up Tuesday. I'll see you next week on my personal page, Motivation Monday. Make It Happen Monday. And every Tuesday here on Facebook Live on my business page, Power Up Your Life and Your Business. Peace out. Appreciate you.